Good morning, everyone. I think we are ready to start. Excellencies, honorable and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. Welcome to this Cop27 side event here on Gender Day at the African Pavillion, which is hosted by the African Development Bank with contributions from the IDB, UNIDO, UN Climate and Environment, International Committee of the Red Cross, the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. And the title of the event today is Enabling and Tracking Gender-Responsive Green Jobs and Recovery. My name is Ingvild Solvang, and I am Deputy Director and Head of Climate Action and Inclusive Development at the Global Green Growth Institute, and it is a great honor to be the moderator of the session today. And I would like to thank the AFDB for the opportunity. And as the title of this session implies, today we will talk about the opportunities and the risks in the transition towards green, low-emission economies, particularly in terms of the gender gap in the labor markets, and with a focus on Africa. Women are underrepresented in economic opportunities in all economies around the world, according to the World Economic Forum. Women are more likely to be employed in informal sectors, and women are more likely to hold vulnerable employment. Women are also more likely to be unemployed and underemployed. And starting with understanding the context in Africa, which has very eloquently been articulated by UN Women and the AFDB in a report on green jobs for women in Africa, we are in good place today to look at some of these issues and these challenges. We will also touch upon the fact that inequalities were exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic and its ripple effects. So I'm very pleased now to welcome Her Excellency, Madam Rachel Ruto, the First Lady of Kenya, to give the first opening remarks delivered through a pre-recorded video message.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm privileged to be sharing my opening remarks on a day set aside to reflect on gender and to discuss with you the important agenda of enabling and tracking gender-responsive green jobs recovery. I'm passionate in advancing women economic empowerment and understand the importance and positive impact of engaging gender equality discussions within the labor market. The issue of gender inequality is a global phenomenon and an integral aspect of development. Besides being a right in itself, gender equality is also an end in itself. It is one of the fundamental requirements for locally achieving Kenya's Vision 2030 that complements the attainment of UN Sustainable Development Goals. As key actors for environmental protection, women possess knowledge, capabilities, and effective networks to drive real solutions in the area of sustainability and resource scarcity. Most importantly, they hold key roles across society that influences how to produce, consume, and market sustained solutions. Women are therefore important agents of change, and their contribution and participation in green economy activities is essential for achieving equitable, sustainable development. The Kenya Green Economy Strategy and Implementation Plan recognizes gender inclusion as one of its strategic pillars outlined under social inclusion and sustainable livelihoods. There is an inherent need to respect the role of gender in the development of a green economy. One of the key priorities within the Kenyan Green Economy Blueprint is retention and creation of employment, especially by exploiting green growth opportunities while providing existing and new workers with the education and skills to meet the demands of new green jobs. Additionally, it includes focusing on critical areas within sectors where Kenya can develop green labor-intensive work. Tracking green job development, including monitoring growth in green jobs over time in terms of numbers, gender balance, and which subsectors are performing best, can help identify areas where policies are having a positive impact and where more attention is needed. Green economy and green jobs actions must respect labor standards, laws, and practices, wage minimums, safety, workers' rights, and other elements of fair and decent work. Ladies and gentlemen, this particular discourse is integral in Kenya's agenda in transforming towards a green economy and is an engagement I am passionate about. I wish to thank the African Development Bank for their friendship, partnership, and convening various actors to engage in tracking gender-responsive green jobs recovery. I also wish to reiterate that one of my key agenda items is championing gender inclusion in the labor market, which results in women economic empowerment. You have my word. I will ensure that beyond Cop27, we will align and partner to advance the women in the area of green economy and green jobs. I wish you all a fruitful discussion. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much to Her Excellency, Madam Ruto. We are also very blessed today to be in the presence and in the company of the Honorary Minister of Environment and Forestry of Kenya, Madam Soipan Toya. Welcome to this session, and I am very pleased to welcome you to the stage to deliver an opening remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, and all protocol observed, it is my esteemed pleasure to be speaking at this crucial discussion on enabling and tracking gender-responsive green jobs recovery. Climate change has emerged as one of the greatest threats to life on Earth. It is also a very serious challenge to human well-being globally, with particular intensity on the African continent as the most vulnerable to climate and weather extremes. Such vulnerability poses serious adverse repercussions for Africa's precarious socioeconomic systems. It is imperative that urgent measures be taken to effectively cushion our people, their livelihoods, economies, and communities, and rapidly eradicate vulnerability. Ladies and gentlemen, the climate emergency disproportionately impacts women's and girls' economic opportunities. In the first instance, developing countries bear the burden and costs of climate change through food insecurity, drought, floods, damage to property and productive assets, and diminished livelihoods. At the same time, there is a clear gender dimension to the climate emergency, where women and girls are more impacted by the changing climate. Structural gender inequalities, such as inequity in unpaid care intensify with the climate crisis. And as the climate and weather-related shocks increase, the amount of time required to care and domestic activities also increases. Ladies and gentlemen, this has an effect on girls who are more likely to be kept out of education to help with domestic chores, and on women as it reduces their time to engage in productive and paid work. In addition, increasing gender gaps in the world of work demonstrate the deep and persistent barriers that women face to realize their economic rights and opportunities. Transition to green economies holds huge potential in terms of creating wealth and jobs for African countries. However, women will not automatically benefit from this. Current green work policies and investments focus on male-dominated sectors, such as the science, technology, engineering, and maths, that is STEM, construction, and manufacturing, and high barriers to women's economic justice risks continued exclusion of women from these opportunities and potentially further entrenching gender inequalities in the world of work. Ladies and gentlemen, focused interventions are needed to ensure that the green transition is just and inclusive and will allow diverse groups of women to take full advantage of the transition. The green transition presents a huge potential to create jobs, especially in sectors set to benefit directly from substantial investment, to example, clean energy and infrastructure. Ladies and gentlemen, to ensure women can benefit from the green transition, governments, private sector, and key decision makers should focus on gender equality in the transition to green economies. And this can be done by incorporating a gender lens into the green transition and green work opportunities, proactively addressing barriers to women benefiting from the green transition, including by upskilling women and girls for green and higher skilled jobs. As I conclude, ladies and gentlemen, to further ensure women benefit in the transition, we must generate decent green work opportunities for women by providing targeted training and education to open up high-skilled work opportunities and traditionally male-dominated sectors, open those to women. We must increase the understanding of gender inequalities in private sector and take targeted actions to upskill, reskill, and prioritize women workers for green work opportunities and foster women's leadership in the green transition. Ladies and gentlemen, as you have heard, Her Excellency, the First Lady of the Republic of Kenya, Mrs. Rachel Ruto, will lend her voice to gender inclusion in the labor market, women economic empowerment, and gender-relevant green recovery measures. And there lies an opportunity for us, because from the highest office, we have a voice, we have a champion, and this we open up to potential partnerships, potential collaborations, so that we take this to another level. In conclusion, transitioning to a green economy requires significant and targeted resources in terms of finance, investment, technology, and capacity building. Therefore, intentional integration of the green transition in the planning, budgeting is crucial for successful implementation and transition. I wish to thank the Africa Development Bank for convening this discussion to provide insights, best practices, south-to-south learning, relevant tools, and recommendation for a successful green transition and economy. As I finish, ladies and gentlemen, women, and in the same breath, girls, are nurturers. We need to nurture our environment. We need to nurture focusing on green initiatives. And women, when we place them at the center of it, we are going to create sustainable solutions to the environmental and climate change crisis we are faced with. Thank you very much. I appreciate this opportunity. Asanteni.
Thank you very much for that, for setting the scene so eloquently, and for your leadership, Madam Minister. We are now ready to go to the next virtual speech today from Ms. Malado Kaba, who is Director of Gender, Women and Civil Society at the African Development Bank. We may have a bit of a technical, I see some people running around in the background trying to get Miss Kaba on the line. Perhaps while we wait for that, I will take the opportunity now to call the panelists up on stage. Hopefully, Ms. Kaba will be able to join us in a minute. We will continue the conversation with a panel. We have 5 very experienced experts on the topic of today. So I'm very pleased to have Kaba on the line. No, okay. Unfortunately, we had some technical
difficulties. Ladies and gentlemen.
So we will go right to the panel.
I would like to announce Her Excellency, the First Lady of the Republic of I would also
Hello, yes.
allies for joining us today, be it in person or online. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, when livelihoods are highly dependent on the environment, vulnerability is potentially higher. More specifically, women have much to lose, since not only their livelihoods but also their responsibility for the survival and health of their children are linked to their natural surroundings. Over the last 2 years, women and girls were hardest hit by the economic and financial shocks of the pandemic, in part because a large number of African women work in the informal sector where social protection is rare. The African Development Bank focuses on climate and women economic empowerment through green entrepreneurship and green jobs initiatives. The bank is, in this regard, not only a thought leader on the African continent, it also converts its ideas into actions. In 2021, for instance, the bank mobilized about 400 million of external climate finance for its projects and programs, including 320 million for the Green Climate Fund. A few days ago, here at Cop27, 20 African youth-led enterprises, of which 50% are women-led, won a grant fund of up to $100,000 each in this year's African Youth Adaptation and Climate Investment Funds. In addition to the grant, each winner benefits from a 12-month accelerator program to help them grow their businesses, deepen their impact, and create decent jobs. The program boosts sustainable job creation by supporting entrepreneurship and youth-led innovations in climate change adaptation and resilience across Africa. The bank is also engaging the private sector. The AFAWA initiative, through the Climate Investment Fund, committed 20 million into a project on financing climate resilience agricultural practices in Ghana with EcoBank. It targets women entrepreneurs through lines of credit. This intervention will target 400 women-led micro, small, and medium enterprises. ultimately benefited more than 373,000 people. The African Development Bank's Fashionomics Africa launched a new sustainable fashion competition with cash prizes, mentoring, new branding packages, and other support for winning African designers of sustainable and circular fashion industry. This initiative continues to foster gender-responsive green jobs with the Fashionomics Africa contest, highlighting the ingenuity that African fashion designers consistently demonstrate through the strength of their culture and heritage. For example, our most recent winner, Nigerian Gift Raji, designs clothes using biodegradable buttons made from coconut shells instead of plastic. Her boutique design firm sells a hat partially made from water hyacinth plant fibers. Water hyacinth is an invasive species that blocks sunlight and reduces oxygen levels in Lagos River areas, posing a serious threat to marine life. The collecting of coconut shells and trawling of rivers removing water hyacinth are the start of a green job value chain. The bank's funding and training is helping designer Gift Raji to further formalize her business and reach more markets. These are small steps, but they are steps in the right direction, and they are incredibly promising steps that need to be scaled up. And the bank, who has a strong comparative advantage in advocating for and promoting gender equality and women's and girls' empowerment across the continent, can do it with other committed partners. To conclude, we need to clearly understand the context of the challenges before us, then use the knowledge to influence national, regional, and international climate finance mechanisms for just and therefore gender-responsive climate, deliver on commitments to climate financing in an inclusive, accountable, and transformative way. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much to Ms. Kaba, who did join us after all, so that was great to have her perspectives and for her to highlight the potential of women in Africa in the transition towards green and sustainable economies. So yeah, as I mentioned, we are now joined on stage by our fabulous panel of experts. So we'll do a round of questions and have some presentation from the panelists. If we have time afterwards, we will get to some questions and answers with participation from the audience. So please get your notepads out and take down your